Okay, just pull it down.
Pull it down and you get to move it from future homeowners.
Do you guys not pay?
You're still a future homeowner, but now you are...
Well, I'm just a typical American senior citizens. Try to treat people like the way I want to be treated. And to live a comfortable, decent life. My name is Doc Plingscales, and I live in Anderson, South Carolina. I grew up on the west side of town, and there was a grocery store on the other side of that apartment complex, and the apartment had a bad reputation of being, just a bunch of ruckus and hell-raising and drugs and alcohol. And my mom always said, just don't go through there, just go around. And ever since then, I had a bad taste about apartments, and it's like you got people packed in, and it just wasn't for me. And I never liked living in apartments. And subsequently, as I grew up, so I had to live in apartments, and and I ran into pretty much the same thing: the drugs, the violence. It's unreal. Well, I was raised up in a religious household, and my mother, she was a faithful Pentecostal churchgoer, and that's the way we was raised. She had Alzheimer's, and she lived to a ripe old age of 88, and I was the one who took care of her. I was in the Marine Corps from '79 to '82, and it was tough, but it was also enjoyable because I went to see a lot of different places. And well, I was in the infantry, and infantry is the foot soldier. And what they say, well, the Marines, they'll see the world, but what they don't tell you is that you're going to walk most of it. So with that being said, it was a great time. I loved being outdoors and sleeping in the woods and just going to all these different places. And it was tough at times because a lot of times we have to march for miles and miles, with heavy packs on. But it was great. It was a great experience, and I enjoyed my time in it. So Habitat is organizations where you can find people that you can, that you can really sit down and talk to. I thought it was for single mothers, and certainly, for a man being my age, and I thought I was too old anyway, and I certainly wasn't a single mother. Kylie encouraged me to stay and listen, so I did. And then she said, well, just go ahead and fill out the application. I filled out the application. I didn't think much of it. And so after I filled out the application, the class was over, I left, and I thought that was the end of it. But about 6 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail saying that I was qualified, to have a house in Habitat. I was so stunned and amazed by it, I had to read it 3 times to make sure I was reading it right. I was just so in disbelief, it was unreal, because I never thought I would be even qualified. And that's how it all got started. The Sweat Equity Hours has been great. It's you're doing things around the restore, and you're working at the construction site. And one thing I can really appreciate about the construction site is you're also learning things at the construction site, so that's a big plus there. I have accumulated 240 hours of the Sweat Equity of the 300 total I have to go. Therefore, I have 60 hours to go. They have already cut the ground, and for all this to you start seeing coming to pass, it's just awesome. And I go by there and I look at it and I say, wow, this is truly a blessing from God. Thank God for Habitat. Well, one thing I have truly felt strongly about is the charity and the way people would take the time to volunteer, to help out, to donate. It's a wonderful thing, and it's been such an inspiration to me, and to encourage me to be more giving and charitable myself. I would be more than willing to volunteer for Habitat. And not only that, but to be a spokesperson for Habitat. And Habitat is a great organization. I know there's a lot of people out there who's in the same situation I was, who wanted some better housing and a better neighborhood, and to be able to have a place to call home. I think Habitat the home will impact my life. It's finally having a place where I can put some roots and to say, this is my home. you know, and it's a wonderful thing to plant, you know, to have some roots somewhere. You know, when I was growing up as a child, my first home was Delia Street. That place there, where I grew up, that is the place I truly call home. It's the place that you grow up and you got your roots there, and that's the feeling I want with the, you know, with the Habitat House. You know, a place that's my home. I just want to just get rid of the old and start new. That's one of the first things I'm going to do is to hang my mother's picture back on the wall. I had it up in the first apartment, and it just didn't feel right, so I took it down. And now with this Habitat House, I want to put my mother, you know, pictures back on the wall, and I know she would be very proud of me if she was here. You know, she would just be laughing, and of course she would be saying, "Well, you know, God has blessed you greatly." She sure did have a lot of flowers or whatever. One would always say, "I want my flowers while I'm alive." I would like to have a little garden there, and you know, as a kid, I used to play in the woods and pick blackberries and plums. And one thing I would like to do is to put some plum trees out there. So I would love to have a little garden and hopefully some plum trees for the old memories. For the future Habitat partners, a lot of times we'll get that doubt in our minds and say, "Well, it'll never happen to me." If you don't try, you're not going to achieve it anyway. So just put your best foot forward and say, "Well, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to make it." Don't let doubt, you know, mess up your dreams. Because I thought it was an impossible dream myself. And look at me now. If Kylie hadn't encouraged me to stay, I could have walked out anytime I wanted to, but I didn't. And I stayed and I listened. And just like I said, if it happened to me, it can happen to you. It's well worth the trying. If I saw someone in a need for housing, I would tell them Habitat is a great organization. It's filled with people. The staff of Habitat is people who care. They're trying to help you, trying to help others to establish a home. You'll find open, friendly people there, you know. So if you're in need of a housing, just go by and talk to them. To the volunteers and the donors, you know, thank God for people like you. You certainly are an inspiration to other people, because if it weren't for people like you who've taken the time to volunteer or to donate, this Habitat program wouldn't be possible. It's all because of people like you, and God is truly going to bless you.
And now you're under construction. All right.
Beautiful.
Pose for some photos there. How's it feel, Doc?
Oh, Doc,
Feels absolutely wonderful.